Hello YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review where we have arrived at the final review for the summer 2017 season. And the anime that closed off last season was Youkoso Jitsuryoku Shijou Shugi no Kyoushitsu, or Classroom of the Elite. So let's see if this was a worthy closer of the season. The story of Classroom situates at the Tokyo Kodo Ikusei Senior High School. This is a very prestigious high school where only the best can get in. And here we meet our main character Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. Unfortunately, he gets enrolled in Class D, the lowest in the ranking. But initially everything seems fine. Every student gets 100,000 yen and it seems like they're living in paradise. But soon the real nature of the school surfaces and it becomes pretty clear pretty quick that being in the D class has some major disadvantages. So Ayanokoji, together with his classmates, starts to work on his way to the top. Before I get to the actual review, there is one thing that I want to mention that influenced the way how I watched Classroom. I was expecting something completely different. Based on the trailer, I assumed the story was going to be about these super smart students fighting it out against each other to beat each other with marks. And eventually it didn't become that. So that did influence the way how I watched this anime, but I don't want that my review is influenced by it. That wasn't the anime's fault, it was just a misjudgment on my part. To start the actual review then, in my first impressions of this anime, I mentioned that the system of the points was a good setup for an interesting social experiment. And Classroom took it even further than I expected, especially in the island arc. There the anime showed how different people react in different situations and how different stereotypes emerge, like for instance the leader stereotype who tries to keep everyone together. Also, the tensions that will surface in stress situations, like for instance the males versus the females, was showed very well. Going further on the social experiment topic was that Classroom showed that a lot of people have double personalities. Almost every main character in this anime has a hidden side to his or her personality. With some it was really exaggerated, with others it was more subtle. And the best example must be our main character Ayanokoji. On the outside, he looks like he doesn't care, but he's probably the smartest character of the entire group. Due to his wit and manipulative skills, he managed to turn the whole island arc around in favor of Class D. Now I'm going to discuss Ayanokoji more further in this review, but his personality was one of the more interesting things in this anime. Now overall, but this is partially because I was expecting something else, I wasn't the biggest fan of Classroom. I didn't feel a connection with this anime and there were few episodes where I really got into the story. That is also because it feels like the real story still has to start. After the final episode, it felt like these 12 episodes were just the prologue. Our main characters Ayanokoji, Horikita, Kushida and all the others have only started their battle to the top. Also, there are quite some elements like double personalities that were introduced but not fully explored. All those facets make me believe that this anime, unfortunately, was just a promo for the original light novels. Most likely the thing that is still the most mysterious is Ayanokoji himself. Up until now, we know nothing about him. Those flashbacks we saw only made the mystery of his person greater. We don't know who he is, where he came from, or what his real objective is. Which brings me to my final point and what made that we don't know anything about him even stronger, being his final words at the end of the anime. That was, in my opinion, the most interesting minute of the entire anime. It blew up everything that we thought about Ayanokoji and poses the question if he is in fact an evil character. It seems that Ayanokoji isn't the person we and the other characters think he is, and that he is way more selfish and evil than we all think. And based on that, I would like a second season of Classroom. Now the story is getting interesting. Now we're going to see who Ayano Koji really is and how far he is willing to go to reach his goal. But unfortunately, I realized that the chance for the season 2 is rather small. As I mentioned, it really felt like this anime was a promo for the light novels, and we know that Kadokawa does that. They have produced multiple hit animes that never got a season 2 because it was purely meant as promo material. So as a conclusion, I wasn't the biggest fan of this anime. It definitely looks like a story that could become very interesting, especially with the reveal in the final episode. But for now, it wasn't as good as I expected it to be. So overall, I'm going to rate Classroom of the Elite at 3 out of 5 stars. Hopefully I'm wrong and we get a second season one day. I would definitely watch it since, as I said, I feel like the true story is now getting started. I'm going to give you 2 recommendations, but they're based on Ayano Koji, less on the actual story since I couldn't think of a good one. My first recommendation is Hyuka. Ayano Koji reminded me a lot of Oreki. Both of them look like they don't give a damn, but they do for one reason or another. Now, Hyuka is completely different from Classroom since it is a comedy mystery anime. Second recommendation is the Grisaya series. Yuji is also a cold-hearted dude who isn't who he seems to be. Grisaya can get pretty fucked up at times, and it was a more adult anime just like Classroom was at times. And with that, I conclude my review of Classroom of the Elite. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now, if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. Then I will say arigatou gozaimasu, and I will see you all in the next video.